Probably sick of seeing me. I wouldn't blame you if you were. Yeah. All right, so we are on day 12 of our live challenge, and today we're going to go over some of the biggest top takeaways from our bread challenge. So this is the last day that I'm going to be live this week. Okay, y'all? So I won't be live tomorrow or Friday with the bread challenge. I've got something really amazing that I'm working on for you guys. So I've got to dedicate some real hard time on getting that finished for you, okay? So make sure you tune in and we will get that going, okay? All right, I'm just trying to get my other page pulled up here. Sometimes it takes a minute before I can actually get it pulled up. There we go. It's coming up finally. All right. So that's going out now. Yeah. All right. So for my jewelry lovers, I want you to tune in a little later today because I have something special coming for you. So if you want to see how I made this beautiful little beauty, oh my gosh, so pretty. If you want to see how I made this and what's happening, tune in a little later today. So I'm just about to post, I'll be sending out that video onto our YouTube channel as soon as we get done with this live. So it's like ready to go. So, but I didn't have time to load it and still make the live. All right. So tune in for that. And remember, if you are loving our Start Finding Success Baking Challenge, that we will be that all of the replays, they're all available over on the YouTube channel. And so just go check out our Start Finding Success playlist, and you can find the whole works there, including the master winner problem solving baking class, where I literally walk you through step by step, and I do it wrong. I literally purposely do it wrong in this video so that I can show you why these things are happening and how you can fix them. Because you can't fix the problems that are happening in your kitchen if you don't know why they're happening, honey. So I hope y'all, if you haven't checked it out, I really hope that you'll go check it out. And yeah, so if you guys have questions that you want me to answer, make sure to drop them down in the comments below. I don't always catch all of the questions as they come up on the screens, where we've got multiple lives actually happening all at the same time here. So just in case, y'all. But if you drop your questions and your comments down below, I will get back to you if I don't catch it in our live. All right, so make sure you drop those questions down below. So if you are struggling with finding the time to start baking bread, you're struggling with juggling all of the responsibilities as an adult, yeah, there's a few of those, okay, especially if you got kids, I got you there. Yeah, been there, done that, still doing it, okay? From itty bitty to all grown up, they all have their own little quirky differences in how you have to actually take care of them, okay? Or how you have to address it. And it varies for every single person that you're dealing with, whether that's an adult or a child, okay? So if you are lacking that support in your family or with your friends or whoever it is, I really want you to reach out and we will help take care of that, okay? So if you are needing that support, then please make sure that you shoot me a message or you drop your comments down below so that I can help get you the help that you need. And honestly, let's admit it, I'm not right for everybody, y'all, okay? So if you go through some of our free tutorials that we have, so I have all of our most recent ones are available on our YouTube channel, okay? If you want all of the goods that have been going out for the past 2 years, honey, come join my bread group. And if you want an invitation to that, all you got to do is either join Homemade Breads for the Busy Parent waitlist or go snag a free recipe. And you've got an invite that's included with those, okay? Because the hardest part of baking homemade breads is literally having the right support. So it's one thing when your family does support you in this beautiful baking passion, okay? It's one thing when they do support you. It's a whole nother thing when they, like, I had to explain this the right way. I'm not wording this correctly. Okay, they can support you and not understand it because they're not in the game with you, okay? They're not literally, like, they don't share that exact same passion, all right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, okay, my dears? Absolutely nothing wrong with that, all right? So don't beat yourself up over it, okay? It's totally normal, all right? So when you are, or if, like, say your family doesn't support you, it's kind of the same thing. When all you want is them to just go, like, say thank you or good job or this smells amazing, this looks great, this tastes amazing, you know, this is amazing, or, you know, whatever. We have a tendency to build it up in our minds, and all we're looking for is just that little bit of support, that, you know, confirmation that we've done a good job. And then when we don't receive it in the way that we build it up in our minds, and they're just like, yeah, good job, it's really deflating, and it really makes it hard to keep going. Even though they may not mean it like that, they only say it that way, or it comes off that way, because they don't share your exact same passion. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? All right, so when you are needing that support, you need to be in a group of like-minded people that are going through the exact same things, that are making the same struggles. And the amazing thing with our group that we have is that you can, like you can reach out to anybody if you want to. Like, I truly encourage it inside my group. And it's kind of funny because everybody's very reserved in my group. But, like, oh my gosh, they are like full on active in Messenger. It's funny. It just cracks me up. But many of them are in different stages. So some of them are just barely beginning, and some of y'all have been doing it for a while. Others have actually started finding success using the actual free trainings that I have in there. You're literally baking bread, and I tell you, I love seeing those pictures. Oh, please keep sending them to me because I love it. I love it. All right, so if you want all the trainings that I have available, your best place is inside our private group, and it's free, y'all. It's free, okay? And then, but if you want the most recent ones, you got to swing over to our YouTube channel. Okay, so I'm rambling too much. I apologize. All right, so let's review the things that we have covered. Some of our biggest top takeaways from the past 12 days of this live challenge. All right? Yeah. All right. So one of the biggest takeaways was in day 5, and that was the proof is in the need. All right. So I was talking about all the different grains and what you needed to do in order to make it all, like, actually work for your baking situation. Okay. And there's additional information in the master wintertime baking class that I put out for you. All right. So day 5, we were talking about how you had to knead different grains differently. All right. So white, or a very fine flour, you need to knead it for approximately 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. The finer the grain, the less kneading it requires. Okay. And when you start moving into half wheat, so a half wheat is almost the equivalent of like your economy whole wheat that you buy from the store. It is essentially a 50-50 mix of a whole wheat, such as hard red wheat. It's just your regular whole wheat flour that you buy from the store, essentially, equivalents, and your unbleached all-purpose, or or you can even use like a bread flour, okay? Half wheat is 50-50. So your average recipe is 2 cups white, 2 cups wheat. All right. That is your average whole wheat recipe right there. I call that a half wheat because that's essentially what it is. Okay. But half wheats are beautiful. And if you know how to mix them right, you still get that light, fluffy bread, and just everything comes together beautifully. So a half wheat bread, you're going to knead it for roughly about maybe 5 minutes, okay? So that's going to vary a little bit depending on your atmosphere and the dryness of the grains and all of that. So the longer they have been processed into flour, the less moisture is in there. And the longer they've actually been stored, like in storage, those grains are going to be drier and drier. So you're going to have to adjust your waters from time to time to accommodate that. Now, a true whole wheat is exactly that. It is a 100% whole wheat. Now, a whole wheat bread is dense. That's just the way it is. Like if you happen to be in a situation where you can remember your grandmother's breads, now I'm talking, or in many cases, this might be your great grandmother, okay? Her breads were dense. They weren't light and fluffy, what you get from the store. Oh, hell no. They're dense, okay? But I'll tell you what, you take a bite into one of those and literally one piece just fills you up. Like, it's, like, literally fills your belly up, okay? You don't have to eat a whole loaf before you actually start feeling full, okay? Unlike your store-bought breads where it's just air, it's just fluff, okay? We don't want just fluff. We want to satisfy our taste buds and our bellies all at the same time. We want to be satisfied when you bite into a piece of bread. Yum. All right. So a true whole wheat is going to take 10 to 15 minutes. All right. Now, if you are grinding your own flours and you are diving into using coarser grains, or you are mixing different grains in, so you're doing a multi-grain with a whole wheat recipe, I mean a true 100% whole wheat recipe, they require extra help. So you need more fats. You often are going to need a little bit more water because the grains are going to be drier, just because it's a hard grain that you're using. It takes more to soften it up. And you're going to have to work it more. And it's just because of how hard the grains are and how dry it is. It just requires more. And you need those extra fats in there because it is a coarse grain and they're going to like glob together but not glide. I don't know how else to word that. I should word that differently, but that's how it came out. So you need it to glide, honey. Glide. All right? So one of our next top takeaways from our class was stepping back from your family's lives for just a moment. Only, like, seriously, take a few minutes for yourself every single day. Do something for you that you love. I don't care what it is, honey. All right? If it is just working out, or it's meditating, or it's doing some yoga, or going for a run, or just indulging yourself in soaking in a nice hot bath. Okay, sometimes as a busy parent, having a chance to actually just soak and just go forget about the world for a little bit, that's extremely difficult to find time to do that. All right, or go out and have a nice dinner. Just go out and do something for yourself. For me, I love baking homemade breads. That is one of the ways I find my zen, okay, honey? It truly, truly is. It is meditative, it is physically exerting, and just all these beautiful things. If you are not taking time for yourself and you're exerting all of your energy out there for your family and everything else, honey, you've got nothing left for yourself, all right? absolutely nothing left for yourself, okay? And when you do that, you literally are sabotaging yourself. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing your family a disservice. You're doing your bosses a disservice. You're doing everybody a disservice. If all you're doing is literally running yourself ragged to the point where you're not even running on fumes anymore. You don't know what the hell you're running on, okay? When that happens, you can't show up being your best. Your best in that moment is pretty haphazard, all right? You are going to lose productivity. You are going to lose focus in your actual mind. You are going to quickly become overwhelmed. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to feel unappreciated. You are, and your family just doesn't see it, okay? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but when you come up to me and you're like, why can't they just say thank you? Can't they see all the things that I'm doing for them? I just want to grab people and shake them, because the answer is no. Your family, your friends, your boss, all of them, they don't see all the things that you do. They see some of it, but they don't see all of the energy, all of the effort that you put into it. They don't see how hard you are working for them, okay? Because you are doing it for them. They don't have to pay attention to it, honey. All right? They don't have to pay attention to it. All right? So when that happens, it's like out of sight, out of mind. As long as it's taken care of when they need it, who cares? It's not your responsibility. In many cases, it's not your responsibility. Now, if this is your job, then yes, that's something different. All right, like an actual physical job. This is what you do to make a living. That's different. But having said that, you also need to remember that you can draw boundaries even with your boss. All right, even with your work. You can draw those boundaries in there, honey. It's okay to do that. So if they're putting more of a workload on you and they're demanding additional work hours and you're like dragging all of your work home with you from work, that's not okay, all right? It's the same thing with kids at school. They literally are going to work from kindergarten all the way to when they graduate. They are essentially pulling a full-time job, y'all. Like, they're at school first thing in the morning. They come back in, the afternoon, mid-afternoon. They've literally pulled a full-time job. Their brains are... School should stay at school, and home life should stay at home. It's the same thing for you with work. Your work life stays at work. Don't bring it home with you. That means don't bring home all the troubles from work. Don't bring home the actual work that you didn't get finished. So essentially like your homework, honey. All right? Don't do those. And if you are needing additional time, it is okay to go up and tell your boss that this is just too much. That you need additional time, you need additional money, all those things. All right? You need to actually respect yourself. And I say this with all the love in my heart, but you need to do this at work, and you need to do this with your family as well. When you share the workload with your family, honey, it makes everything so much easier. So if your family is living with you at home, they should be everyone, I mean, every single person that's there should be helping clean up. They should be helping cooking dinner and doing baking. They should be helping, like, doing the dishes and taking garbage out, taking care of the animals. If you have animals, they should be helping with that, helping with plants, whatever it is that you do in your home. All right? We all have those necessary things that have to be done, and often it ends up falling on one person's shoulders, and that's not okay. Honestly, the biggest, like, if you are feeling unappreciated and your family is not seeing all the things that's going on, leave for a week and let them deal with it. And you'd be shocked. Like, you come back and they're just like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how much you were doing. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, I got to tell you this little story, just really, really fast. So this last fall and a summer, I took my daughter and her fiance to Wisconsin because my daughter was in a national competition, which meant Dad took a week off of work, and between him and my daughter Callie and Stony, they helped keep up the house and tend to the animals and deal with and take care of our two littles. So my two little daughter, my youngest daughters, they're a handful, okay? Rocky's response, my wonderful husband, his response was, just call me Dorothy. Where's my blue dress? And where the hell did my broom go? Because he's like, he literally felt like a housemaid, because he's like, I literally couldn't even put the broom down. It was like just constantly in my hands. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here. I've been doing this for how many years? This has always been the way it is. Always. It's constant cleaning to keep up with everybody else. And he's like, I'm so sorry. Literally, day one. He's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. We really just have really stopped helping out, haven't we? I'm like, just a little bit. There's a reason why I've been such a cranky witch. All right, story time. So we got to keep going. But seriously, sometimes your family literally has to be exposed to what is actually happening in order for them to realize exactly how much is going on. All right, because if you are the only one taking care of these problems, then you are like your family doesn't have to deal with it. They don't see what is actually happening. So share the load, my friend. And you've got, like, you do have to be tactful in how you say it, okay? You do have to be tactful on it, all right? So, yeah, okay, so for example, with me, I'm really bad with words. They always come off wrong, always. Oh, so if any of you can relate, please let me know. If you can relate to just always doing it wrong, I would really appreciate it. So I will often say something with the best of intentions. I'm literally trying to help, and it will come off in the wrong way. Like for that split second that it crosses my brain, it sounds good. But the moment it leaves my lips, it's like, oh, okay, yes, that's what I said, but that sounded horrible. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Yes, that's what I said, and I meant what I said, but I didn't mean it like that. So I'm really bad for that. I apologize. If I've like crushed y'all in that particular way, I apologize. Oh, because I'm bad. I'm bad with my words sometimes. So bad with them. Oh my gosh. So, all right. So be tactful in how you say it. And remember, when you do, speak from the heart, but speak in honest, open communication. All right. So when you are like starting to address this with your family or your coworkers, your boss, whoever it is that is causing you this massive amount of overwork and strain, then my dear, just take a breath for a moment and just have an honest, open, raw conversation. Speak from the heart. These are emotion-filled conversations, but you have to be careful not to let it become emotional. Like you're just talking about it. You're not crying, you're not screaming and getting mad or jumping to conclusions or being biased in the situation. Biasness really screws things up, okay? And it's hard to not be biased because you're dealing with the stuff from your perception. That is your biasness, and your family is dealing with it from their perception. Sometimes they may not even know this is going on because you've been doing it all. They don't see it, all right? When that is happening, you have to be careful because it's very easy to just get mad about it. And anger or just like bawling, all of that, it doesn't help the situation in that moment. Now, there's nothing wrong with crying and getting mad and just letting all of that emotion out. But when you are literally talking to somebody, that is not what you want to do, okay? You don't want to do that. All right. So, yeah, I wish there was a way that I could just quickly, easily say that. And I lack that ability to be like short, sweet, to the point. I just lack that ability. That's who I am. All right. So let's move on. So, one of our next big takeaways was actually in our mastermind class. And then I touched back on it a couple times throughout this challenge. All right. So, and that was the atmosphere and how it is affecting your bread baking. Y'all have had some crazy bread baking failures stories this particular winter. The weather everywhere has just been constantly changing, and we're having dramatic differences from really, really hot to abnormally cold, and like snow where there generally isn't snow, and just all the things. All right. So the atmosphere does affect your baking. All right. If your house is really cold, you're going to have a hard time raising your bread. That doesn't mean you can't still raise it up on your counter if you want to. So you can raise your bread on your counter. You can raise your bread in the oven. Now, if you have a pre-proof on your oven, that's beautiful and that's amazing. But there are some warnings that go with it. So if you are covering your bread in your oven with plastic wrap, be careful, because that plastic wrap can actually start to melt when your oven gives those little bursts of heat to warm it back up, okay? That is not something that you want. You don't want melted plastic getting into your delicious, like, hard worked, dough. You don't want that to happen, okay? Like, just tons of things. Just don't want that to happen. So I actually stopped using plastic wrap a long time ago when it comes to my breads. Very seldom will I ever pull any out, and that's only if I'm raising it on my counter. And that's generally because I generally do have to cover it that way because my kids have a tendency to get into it. Then, apologies. Then, another option is to take a damp, warm cloth. So this is how Grandma did it. So you can use a dry one or a damp one. And a damp one generally tends to work a little bit better. Okay, so you can cover your dough with just a damp, clean hand towel. All right, and that works beautiful. And you can use that in your oven too. Okay, and all it does is it just kind of helps seal in that moisture. Another thing that you can use is a wax cloth. I love wax cloth, okay? And there's multiple places that you can find it, like you can find it on Amazon and special baking stores. Yeah, so if you want to invest in that, those are beautiful. And you can even get wax bread bags too, which is really awesome because then, it's environmentally safe and you don't have all those additional chemicals and all those fun things. All right, I love wax cloth. Okay, wax cloth bags, beautiful. So that's one way that you can cover up your bread so that it's not getting dried out. My preferred way, and I teach this all the time, is to just literally proof it in your oven. Now, I do have a pre-proof on my oven. Not everybody does. I'm going to touch on how you can warm your oven up without a pre-proof for just 1 second. But when you, so I teach you to just put your dough into your oven, let it raise in your oven, and then kick it straight on without opening the door. In high elevation, or if your environment outside, the weather outside is constantly fluctuating, this is going to help keep your bread from falling flat. Okay? Now, if your bread falls, if it's still at the top of your pan, you're still safe, okay? It's all right. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? It's just going to look a little funky. It's still going to taste amazing though, okay? The only time that it's going to be a problem is if it completely falls in, then you've got to rework the dough and like just reshape it into its loaves and start the raising process over again. That is the fastest, easiest way that I've found to get your bread to raise back up after it's fell. Excuse me. And then, so when you put it into your oven, you need to make sure you put water in your oven. The moisture helps put a crisp on your crust, and it also helps retain the moisture content of the actual dough itself. Steam for bread is an age-old practice, okay? This goes back, clear back to earth ovens and mopping your oven out with, like literally mopping the ashes out with a hot, wet mop, okay? And that steam like penetrates into the stones and it like gets stuck in there because right immediately afterwards you're putting your dough in and sealing the door up, okay? So that's a beautiful thing that we can take from history and continue to use. And most professional bakers have a steam infused oven of some sort, whether they're putting a pan in the oven like I do, or they actually have a steam emitting oven, which is really cool. So I gotta turn that off before it goes off. We're gonna wrap this up. And so that's a wonderful way to keep your bread hydrated and get that beautiful crust on there, okay? It's going to help crisp up that crust. And it's also going to make it, if you raise your bread in your oven, like I suggest you do, at least in my case, I don't always raise it in my oven, okay? But that is going to, it's going to keep your bread, your dough, moisturized, so that it doesn't get that hard crust on it as easily. But if you're not using a cover on your bread and you're not opening your door like I suggest, you need to really spray down, spritz, or rub some water on the very top of your dough after you've got it in your pans and you've rolled it in the oil. Get some water on top of that dough. That's going to help keep it from drying out, especially if you are using a pre-proof setting on your oven, okay? So if you are not using a pre-proof setting on your oven, it just doesn't have it or it doesn't work. I've had both. I've had that same situation with all of my past ovens, okay? What you do is you just kick your oven on. Kick it on for 30 to 60 seconds. It does not matter what temp that you set it to, because it's not going to be on long enough to reach that temp, okay? All you're doing is taking the chill off the oven. Now, when you open the door, there should never be a burst of hot air coming out unless your house is absolutely frigid, okay? And if it is frigid, you're going to have to really work your dough like Speedy Gonzalez and make it to keep it warm enough while you're still working it, okay? That is very important to remember, okay? And if you want to learn more about all that, come join me in Homemade Breads for the Busy Parent. I'm just about ready to open the doors for enrollment again this year, and I literally threw out the rule book on how I'm sending out the course this year, and I'm doing it in a completely brand new way. And it's just going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited. I'm really nervous about it. Oh, so much. Oh, so nervous. I'm excited. But doing it in the manner that I'm going to be doing it this year versus the way I've done it in the past literally it makes it so that I can help you, my students, even more than I was before. It's much more interactive. It does require far more hands-on time for me, but I'm happy to help because my whole goal with my courses is to literally get you to that finish line. And I'm going to be there supporting you and helping you make it, okay? And it's a wonderful, beautiful thing, okay? If if you invest with me, I'm going to get you to that finish line. All right. But I don't want you to come and join me if you have never baked bread and if you've never found success before. Because until you find that success, honey, you can't find the passion in it. And if you are not passionate or truly have this longing deep down in your heart for baking homemade breads, I don't want you to invest money with me. I don't. Because often the case is that that passion never develops. And I don't want you to put money into something that is not something that's true to your heart, okay? Now, I love baking homemade breads. And you get that, if you get that baking bug, oh, it's so hard to move past. It really, truly is, okay? But when you're doing it on your own and you're trying to learn it the hard way and just struggling through and just, you're constantly Googling like how to do this, what caused this, yada, yada, yada. That's about the time you need to actually have that one-on-one like guidance, okay? So in Homemade Breads for the Busy Parent, I literally will walk you through step by step and side by side virtually on how to bake your homemade breads, how to manage your time so that you do have the time to bake homemade breads consistently. And I'm going to help, and I share my own personal advice that is hard-earned lessons on how to manage family and baking, that passion of following your baking, making those beautiful homemade breads where you can literally stop buying from the store, all right? We don't need to be buying we do not need to be buying chemically like pumped breads from the store. And I can show you how to do that. But I want you to find success in doing it first before you invest with me. And also, I want you to come bake with me before you join me because, my dear, I want you to see the way I teach, okay? Because my teaching style is not right for everybody, okay? It's just not. And it's the same both ways. Like, not every student is a right fit for me. And I'm dedicated to working directly with my students and making sure they reach that finish line. I don't want any one of my students left behind. I'm dedicated to you guys in getting you there, all right? Because I know how hard it is to try to do it on your own. I know how hard it is to buy a course, to invest that money, and then feel like you're still doing it by yourself. You have all of the questions of, like, I just don't get it. Like, this is, okay, it makes sense when you read it, but when you go to put it in practice, it just doesn't, like, click. It makes me feel like I'm back in, like, high school or something, and I literally was up the whole night before, like, cramming and studying for a test because I finally started taking school serious and like stressed, and I cram all those studies in, and then like I'm feeling good. The big day comes. I'm feeling good about the test, and I go in and I sit down. I do it. I'm feeling good about it. The next day I get my grades and I bombed it. And I'm going, how many of you had that happen? Seriously, if you had that happen, like, let me know. Like, you're not alone. We're not alone, I promise. We're not alone. We can all relate to that one. We all had that one test that, we actually went in and we were feeling really good about it, and then we bombed it. Like, all right. So that's how it makes me feel when I don't have my coach literally right there with me when I am going through a course. And I don't want that for you. I do not want that for my students. So I'm going to give you every opportunity I can to be live with me, where I will literally show you step by step on how to do it. And I will show you the fastest ways and show you why things go wrong. I do all these amazing things in this course. Okay. Like I literally can't even like scrunch it down into this little time frame. This course took me 3 years to make. Okay. Like I poured my heart and soul into it, and every year I make it a little bit better. Okay. So I love this course. It is my baby. Oh, this course is my baby. Of all my courses, this is my favorite. All right. So if you are a busy mom, busy dad, or a busy parent figure, you want to learn how to make homemade breads, and you've struggled to be successful, or you're just barely getting started, go check out one of our free tutorials. Learn the steps to do it faster, to do it easier, to find success for the first time, and join me on Homemade Breads for the Busy Parent waitlist. So when the doors for enrollment do open for a very limited time, because I only take on just a handful of students. I don't take on a lot of people, because if I have a whole bunch of you in there, I can't literally show up for every one of you. And I'm going to do my best to literally be there for every one of you and helping you in the moments as you need them. Okay? I'm dedicated to y'all, to making this easier and finding that success. All right? So, let me get that up there. All right. So, on Instagram and YouTube and, Instagram and on TikTok, y'all can find the link for Homemade Breads for the Busy Parent waitlist in my bio, along with free recipes and all the goodies, okay? And then here on Facebook and YouTube, the link is in the description, but you can also find the links in my bio as well. All right, so we are getting late into the day. I have got another session that I've got to jump into with some folks and take care of all these amazing things that I'm working up for you guys. Ooh, tune in for my jewelry lovers. Tune in a little bit later, and we will have the jewelry video out, and then you can see how I made this little beauty. Oh, so pretty, so pretty. All right, so I literally made this one as a prototype, and oh, so pretty. And this literally came after multiple requests for my neckties again, neckties and suit sliders. So I sat down and I made one, and I had so many people asking for me, and I love how this looks in our new design that I'm literally going to be bringing it back. Okay, I'm literally bringing these back in our Crazy Wire Work spring collection this year. So stay tuned. More information on that will come out as we get a little closer to that release date. Okay. All right. So in the meantime, I got to get back to work. And if you have questions, make sure you let me know. And if you know somebody that would find the information in this video beneficial or helpful, please do me a solid. Share this out so that we can get the word out to the people that it's actually intended to. Okay? All right, my dears. See ya.